Hi and welcome to episode 16 of Every Semicolon. It's been a couple of weeks, I think, since the last episode. I was intending on doing some more after 15 and posting all those at once. But unfortunately, things just sort of got in the way for a little bit, and I haven't really had a chance to get back to it until now. A few changes in sort of my life, I guess. I'm starting to transition now into doing this sort of thing full time. So I'm going to be sort of leaving my full-time job and doing more contract work, with the intention of really trying to make a push with Southeast Games and try to make a living out of doing independent game development, contract work. So that's sort of exciting for me. I'm actually pretty excited about everything that's going on. I'm actually looking through all the things I got to do and sort of planning out sort of how long things are going to take and the prospects of them. And I'm really excited to do a lot more Every Semicolon videos. In the next few weeks, probably transition to doing videos pretty regularly, every day, every other day. If I do it every day, then they'll be probably an hour long. I won't overwhelm anyone too much with something that can't be watched by people leading regular lives. But I want to get this game finished, and I want to get this video series really pushing forward. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll be working on a whole bunch of projects, but Every Semicolon is going to be a really big deal for me. And yeah, I mean, I'll, as things as updates happen, I'll let you know in these videos, and please, if you can support sort of what I'm doing in any way, that'd be great. So this video, I'm not really. There's not too many big things I want to do. I want to do a bunch of little things. This is the first Every Semicolon video since I released sort of the latest thing on the asset store for Southeast Games, which is the developer console. I released that yesterday. It was made available, and what the developer console is, let me bring it in. The developer console is similar to games like Quake or Half-Life, Counter-Strike, or a lot of PC games, not just first-person shooters, but all sorts of games. You'll see typically hit the tilde key, the key next to the 1, to the left of the 1 key on the keyboard, to bring down the console. And then you can, it's sort of a developer console. It's a way of calling methods or changing variables. Giving sort of the end user, but typically more for the developer, I guess, or server admins, that sort of thing, the ability to modify variables and stuff in game at runtime, and do a lot of debugging and things like that. Gives them access to sort of lower level features that the typical end user doesn't need, but a power user might find necessary. Let me just find where it is for a moment. Alright, so this is the developer console package. It comes with, and there's a video on YouTube. Just look through the Southeast Games videos. There's a little demo video showing how it's used. I'll just remove the manual and example scene. I don't need those, as I made the thing. I know how it works. It is just this one script, so all I need to do is drag it onto a game object. It has a bunch of fields you can edit, and ways to customize the look and feel of it. I'll use that here and there throughout the project as necessary. It's actually very useful. Hence the sort of reason I made it, and I've made it available for everyone else. So I don't want to just sit here and plug my own stuff, even though it is new, and I'm excited. I'm really excited for people to check it out and use it and and give me suggestions on how to improve it, because I'd like it to be, it is. I think it's going to be sort of this, I want it to be the be-all end-all of developer consoles. I don't know if there's some out there. I've had a look. There are some other ones out that people have made, but they're fairly limited, or not very full-featured, and they're not necessarily for end users. And what this allows is sort of alias terms. So you can put in things like, I could say, something like load level, and then have that link to I don't know, just pretend this is a thing. So then what happened is you could fire it up, hit the tilt button, bring down the console, and might just reduce the transition time on that. And you could type something like load level, and then sort of put in whatever, a level name. If that level manager load level method existed and took a level name string, then that would then work, and you can then limit users to just take the alias terms, or just allow the alias terms and not display all the other stuff. What it actually does is have an autocomplete system here, so I can go through and go to main camera transform. You can print out the values or return values of methods and variables, or you can actually call methods to and pass in any number of parameters, and it supports vector 3s, floats, quaternions, bools, ints, all sort of standard types, and a lot of unity ones, strings, and that sort of thing. And you can do stuff like set position took, or if I said if it was a name thing or something, I could go like this with quotes around it, and that would be recognized as one string. And there you see I've renamed my main camera to that awesome string. It's super useful. You can cycle through your previous entries, and it's let's see, I've got a it's not called main camera anymore, of course. I'm pretty excited about it. I really like it. It's been finished for quite a while. I've had it sitting there, sort of ready to submit for about 6 to 10 months. Should have done it a long time ago. Obviously, it's ridiculous that I didn't. But it's up there now, and I'm pretty happy with it. I won't be showing the code for it in this video, because it is something that I am selling sort of independently of this stuff. So if I use it and I come across issues and I want to, or things I need to add to it, or features I want to add to it, I won't do it as part of this series. I'll do that separately, and you'll just see maybe in future episodes the latest version updated. Okay, so one thing I was thinking about doing in this video series is this episode is adding a new block type. So I was thinking, let's take this guy right here maybe, and just delete him. Alright, so obviously one of the must-have block types of any game like this is the explosive. So let's start building one. So I'm going to grab an existing block. Actually, I'll grab the chest. I'll grab the chest, and I'll change it to block barrel. We don't know what it'll actually be. Explosive barrels work because you make a red barrel, and users know typically that, hey, that's an exploding barrel. You don't need to explain anything to them. So I should, yeah. So healthy is blah. All right, let's drop in a capsule. Sorry, I'm gonna use a cylinder. I guess, yeah, I guess that'll work. Drop that under here. Gonna delete that. Oops. Delete that. Alright, so this is our barrel. Now, do we have any... Let's go to our materials. Do I have a red material? No, I don't. Oddly enough, I have one in the example scene of the developer console, so I might just grab that one. Okay. It's red. Awesome. That looks amazing. So, let's make it a little bit wider. The X and Z axes, I want to scale it up a little bit. Let's try 1.5. Alright, so that looks more like barrel size. Keeping the 1 meter height allows it to sort of work well with the rest of the stuff we got going on. Alright, so now block barrel, I'm going to drop in the barrel into damage states, game objects. Okay, so create on destroy gold fountain. Not interested in that. What I probably will do is add in, an explosion particle system or something later on. But block chest, we're going to replace that with block explode. Alright. Collapse all that. Alright. So block chest, rename it to block explode. It still inherits from block, so it's still a regular sort of block script. But now we're going to swap all this over. Alright. So I'm going to override the destroy block, and what I want to do is, and actually looking at this, create on destroy is going to be probably a fairly common piece of functionality amongst blocks. What I might do is move that to the block proper. And then I'll need to remove it from the chest. Alright. Okay. So destroy block. Yep, create and destroy. Whatever. Don't really. So we'll probably want to chuck that into this guy. Alright, so what I'm doing here is calling base destroy block. So base refers to, as you see, class block. So I'm actually calling the destroy block method in the type we're inheriting from block. So I can do some custom code for this class here, and then still run the original destroy block method that I'm overriding here. So I want to do the same thing. And let me just go and do that now in block chest. So I'm going to need to remove create on destroy. and let's drop in base destroy block and get rid of that. Alright, so what we want to do is add in a force to all the blocks nearby within some sort of radius. So I believe we have access to, what is it, level manager. Again, this is actually something that, you know, by moving to a more full-time Southeast Games sort of role, I should be able to do this a lot more often. I won't get in a situation where I'm wondering where my code is and what things do, because that's been a bit of an issue on this series, not remembering things sort of as I go through the process of this series, because I just have such large gaps between episodes sometimes, or between doing a particular thing. I haven't maybe not touched the level script for a couple of months now. So, all right, power block explode public. Let's put in a force, float force, public float radius. And we could add some other stuff, so add in and I do like to use curves. I might use a curve to determine any sort of fall off. So I might just I'll throw that in now. Animation curve. Force. No, I'll call it fall off. It's not really what I'm thinking, but we'll do. So that's double check that that's how the constructor works. Alright. Let's have a look at the scripting reference. Right, because I just want to use by default a linear. So starts, value starts, and value end. Okay. Alright. So there's all of our blocks. Might just cache that, or at least cache the level. Alright, optimization time in advance of writing the code that'll need it. I'm going to do, well, let's just do it one step at a time, not get ahead of myself. Alright, so current blocks, what we want to do is get the distance to block. We'll use vector 3 static method distance. So blocks. No, the block has this transform is protected. Let's why not? Let's just give our access to give other classes access to it. So position and this transform dot position. Alright, so that's the distance between. We're going to run through all the blocks in the level and find the distance from that block to this block, which is the exploding barrel in this case. But I'm not calling exploding barrel, I'm not calling it block barrel or anything like that, because the barrel is just going to be a fairly, I can reuse the explosion of it on other block types. Different types of exploding things or whatever. So make it a generic one, and that way I can just throw it on there and change these settings to achieve different results for different blocks. Okay, so there's our distance to the block. Let's get the amount of force to apply. So we'll just check within if the block distance is within the radius. And speaking of other sort of, and what I'll just mention what I'm going to write now. I'm going to apply a force to the block's rigid body in the direction of in the sort of the vector from that block to this block, from this block to that block, and the force will be based on the distance to that block, and I'll use this fall off here to evaluate the force between that sort of 0 and 1 range, or that percentage. I'll explain it when I'm done, but so if anyone has any suggestions on things they'd like to see on the asset store, I'd love to hear about those, so that I can start working on something, and it's very important that I guess I can start looking at producing works that people want, so that I can start making. I want to start. I don't know what the best route is. Whether it's a large number of smaller little tools or scripts for the asset store. Maybe that will yield a decent revenue, or whether it's more substantial, sort of larger. Fill in the bigger gaps that Unity's missing out on, sort of tools and features that people will sort of be more interested in. The asset store seems to be getting, it's got a lot of stuff on there now. It's sort of overwhelming, I guess. And then I don't know. There seems to be the things that stand out are the bigger things, the different GUI systems and different mesh modifiers and little content creation sort of tools or modification tools, and those are really cool. I have a couple of ideas for sort of bigger things I want to do, and I'll be working on those over the coming weeks. But if there's anything that people are interested in looking at, or using in Unity, or if something you've seen maybe in these video series that you'd like to get a hold of, let me know. Message me one way or another. Email me. I'm going to be in a situation, I guess, where I need to start looking at how to make money as an independent developer, when the games that I'm working on a few different games that I hope will be fairly successful, and we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, I've got contract work, and I'll be looking for more of that. And as a I have quite a lot of experience in the Australian games industry, or Australian simulation industry, as a Unity developer, and I have a lot of pretty substantial knowledge and background in doing simulation work in Australia. So there's good contract work, good things to do in that space, and I'll continue to probably work in that space for the time being. But that's not really my ultimate goal. So if anyone has any thoughts, I'm really interested in getting more involved in the community at large, development community, indie development community, even the Unity community. I'll probably start being a more active member on the on the Unity forums, and so you probably see me there more often now. Anyway, I should get back on to what I'm doing. So what I've done here is divided distance to the block divided by radius, so I get a 0 to 1 range. I then evaluate that by the curve, and now I have the evaluated 0 to 1 range. So 1 being 1 will be at 10 meters, and 0 will be at 0 meters. So I want to apply a force to the rigid body of the block, and let's just check. Do we have a rigid body? Right, so we need to get the rigid body of this current block here. Dot. Okay, so we have a few different choices here. Let's have a look at what Unity's added explosion force is supposed to do. Applies a force to the rigid body that simulates explosion effects. The explosion force will fall off linearly with distance to the rigid body. Okay. Alright, that's interesting. So what do they have? Explosion position, force, radius, upwards modifier. So plays nicely with ragdolls. Applies a force if it's applied from beneath the object. 2 meters below. Right. Okay. So I didn't yeah, that's interesting. So this has a linear fall off. If I use this, then it would be less. When was this added? Unity 3.5. Yeah. I haven't seen that before. So yeah, linear fall off is not as good as what I was planning on doing. So I might not use it and instead just stick with regular force. But we'll maybe have a look at it and see. We'll see how this goes first. So we want to get the direction to it. Might be prudent to do this up here. So subtracting that position, the position of that block from our block, gives us a direction. Yeah, direction vector. And now we want to normalize that. Well, get the magnitude of that. Yeah, this is actually where I can start doing some optimization I was going to do earlier. So instead of using magnitude, we'll use squared magnitude. So I want to set radius squared up. I'll do that in my on-enabled functions. Multiply radius by itself. And so I'll use squared magnitude. And now I can test if distance to block is less than radius squared. and divide by radius squared instead. And now got my direction, so we're going to add force, which okay, so direction dot normalized times t value, so we're going to do mathf dot lerp between 0, well, between force and 0 by t value. That order because 0 is the closest and 1 is the furthest away. So at 0, no, so that's no, I was right first time. Oh no, again. Yeah, so at 0 we want to use the maximum force, and at 1 we want to do nothing. So at exactly 10 meters away, there's no force applied, and anything between 0 and 10 is within that range. So that's the vector. Force mode. What are the overrides here? Alright, well, let's just leave force mode as the default for the moment and just see sort of what this does. Whoops. Navigation. Same field, name is serialized multiple times, blah blah blah. No, it's not. Whatever. Okay. Block barrel, apply that. Nope, don't want to do that. Swap out that for that. There's our fall off, our linear fall off. We're going to destroy damage states. Should still have everything it needs. Cool. Apply that. Reset position, apply that. Alright. Need to delete that one, but anyway, we'll chuck this one in here. Right there. Might have been better to put it down lower. So let's just grab these for a moment, chuck them up. Hopefully they don't intersect. Alright. Force of 10 is probably not much, but it's only one way to find out. Oh, okay. Not a load bearing barrel, that one. Alright. What we're going to have to do is delete those and try to remember what my shortcuts are. What were these? Yeah, I need to set up the blocks. Okay, what were my shortcuts? Custom, util, okay. Duplicate to right of self. Shift Alt D. Okay. So it's forward, it's up, no, it's down. My bad. Okay, up, up. Alrighty. What I might do is make this barrel actually the same size as those blocks. Same height. I think also the problem might be that the barrel is a capsule and has a rounded top, so that's probably not helping. So what I'm going to do is remove that capsule collider and instead throw on a mesh collider, which will make convex. That's much better, and that'll do. Alright, so let's apply that. We'll just leave the position. Not too bothered. Okay, now if we drop these down, be fairly flush with the top of the barrel. We can investigate. Will they fall over? Yeah, so pretty good stability there. Let's jump up to here. We'll drop in blocks. Fortress, rock platform large. Yeah, I'll chuck that in there. Go to level, find our blocks, save that, clear out console, hit play, and hopefully it's all good. Alright, it still fell over. Let's take a bit of a closer look, see what's going on. Okay, it might be too far out. And looking at this, how difficult just setting up this level right now is. I probably have to look into different ways of handling these blocks and building these scenes. Yeah, whether that be writing something in the editor or writing a tool to sort of run physics on everything while I'm sort of editing them and get them to be in a stable position and sort of save that out. That might be what I need to do. Hey, that could be a cool thing for the asset store too, who knows. Alright. Let's see how this goes. Gotta fix up the trajectory indicator. Still, it's not that exciting though, so I haven't really wanted to get around to doing that yet, but okay. That was pretty awesome, right? Might defend this chest a bit better so it doesn't, the level doesn't end so easily. Alright, force, let's change it to something more significant and see if we see anything happen. Okay. Hard to tell at the moment if we're getting any result from this. Okay, you see everything sort of moving around a bit. Radius of 10 might be a bit small. It's 1 meter. 10's not too bad. It's pretty make more sense to throw in a sphere to check this out. Okay, that is pretty small. That's okay. Right, not bad. Radius of 10 should be alright. Let's see if we get a better result now. This higher rate. Okay, that looks more like it. Might adjust that fall off a little bit, put in a bit of ease on it. So what's this saying? Okay, so what we want is when it is closer to 0, keep it closer to 0 for longer. Yeah, I mean that's the right sort of curve. The closer to the bottom of that curve, the more intense the explosion will be. Boom. Probably too significant, but that's doing the job. Drop it down to 15,000. I'll even apply that to the prefab. It's like Lord of the Rings. The Two Towers action. Alright, that's cool. So now we have an exploding barrel. Obviously no asset yet for that, but a working block. We can add more effects and stuff to that later on, but I'm happy with that. Okay, so what next? I don't want to make this too long of an episode, but let's actually look at that trajectory indicator, because even though I don't want to do it, I probably should. It is frustrating when you're playing the game and this happens. So what I'm referring to is, as you can see, we've got this super slick indication of our projectile trajectory. So it's telling us where it's going to go exactly, and when I come down here and move it, all the block bits get destroyed, and it takes a while for them to be recreated to fill out the full arc of this indicator. So what I need to do is make sure that like what happens on the start of the game, when the indicator is full, I need to sort of run that method of filling out the indicator whenever it's not quite full enough. So let's have a look and see what the code's got in it, and we'll find what we need to do. The indicator at startup has a method, or doesn't have a method here, but in start it num graphics inline is indicator spacing times indicator speed, num pieces, find out how many number of pieces it should be showing, and it creates all the necessary bits and pieces. We're going to swap this over to another method, and we'll just try running that when we need to. Alright, so when it moves, what's happening is those indicator pieces, trajectory indicator, when does it destroy? So T position is greater than projectile trajectory show line for seconds. Right, so show line for seconds will change based on this get time to reach ground method, so whatever that returns. And so what we need to do is, when that changes, we need to check if it's less than it was before, if it's greater than it was before, and if it's greater, we need to either append things onto the end of the line or just delete everything and call this method again. So maybe appending might be easier. Or faster, not easier, but a better option. So let's have a little think about this. What I want to do is find all the existing indicator bits, or find the furthest one away, and just find out where it is, what its T position is, and just keep adding ones on the end until this is satisfied. So when I create a trajectory indicator, I don't store them, do I? Not stored anywhere, which is a bit of a problem. What I could do is store the last one, but that's a bit of a pain in the ass too. This one knows that this one creates them all. Theoretically, yeah, let's just try storing the last one, and we'll go from there. Last trajectory indicator. Alright, so when we create one, we're going to say if that, and if tragind dot t position is greater than last one t position tragind blah blah tragind indicator float. What? Alright, so if the new one is further along the line than the old one, then our new last one is this new one. And if this was not true, so what we're saying is if it's not null, then that's also the case. Alright. Excellent. I can make this a little bit shorter, I guess, if I wanted to. It's less than return. Alright. So what now that's what's saying. That's saying is if there is an existing last one, and this one is not greater than just return out of this method. So if it is greater than it, then it will get past that and it will come out of this if statement and it will assign it. Alright, so now we've got our last one. So create full indicator line. What we want is, so create indicator graphic tpos. So our tpos is, we get that from I times num graphics inline. Num graphics inline is indicator spacing times indicator speed. And num pieces show line for seconds times divided by number of graphics in line. So alright, so if there's sort of 2 per meter and show line for 10 seconds, 10 divided by 2, 5 pieces, 0 times 2, so that's the, okay. So what I can do is I'll just get rid of this one here, I'll just use the one method. Alright, so current t equals 0 if last one, current t equals last t position. Alright. So num pieces is all of that, blah blah blah. I might do not that. So just the leftover part, non-pieces, items, paragraph, second, T position. Just bear with me for one moment because I have no idea if I just want to quickly write this out and see what happens. Alright. That has not worked. What we've ended up with is it's creating them. It's hard to tell. We need to let it make a few more, drop it down. Okay, it seems to make them at the start. You can see there's one, well, I don't know if you can pick it up in the YouTube video, but what happens is, pause it just there. So I don't think that made it in the at the start. Alright, so let's have a look and figure out all this logic and make it work. So create indicator full line, blah blah, it's all good. When it changes, we're going to go create indicator full line, and hopefully our last directory indicator is correct. That's something we'll have to check, I guess, soon if we need to. Okay, so current T is 0. So initially that's false, current T stays 0. Show line for seconds minus 0 is the same, blah blah. Okay, I times and current T. Yes. But once we have a new last trajectory indicator, okay, hold on. When we destroy all those, right, that's not going to be our last one anymore. So what happens when I move move the, or lower the trajectory indicator and reduce the amount of time it takes for it to reach the, or reduce this number? My last one gets destroyed, and I no longer have a pointer reference to my new last one. So I sort of almost need to store all the trajectory indicator pieces and run through them all to find which is the last one, I guess. But there might be a faster way. That doesn't. I don't really want to have to do that. There might be a quicker way. So this guy destroys himself. I think I might be stuck with having to do that. Alright. So if I do it as a list of trajectory indicators, or I don't really want to do it as a queue or a stack, because I'm going to be adding them either end. I could do it as a stack. Stack if I build it from first to last, removed the last one and appended to the end. Alright, let's have a look at doing that. I'm use a generic stack trajectory indicators. Get rid of this stuff now. trajectory indicators. Alright. I haven't used. Okay. Yep. Push traj ind. So a stack. I haven't actually used stacks a whole lot in C#, but you know they're a collection method that is sort of a first in, last out sort of stack. And there's also a queue. Actually, no, sorry. Last in, first out is a stack. Yeah, and the other one similar is a queue, but that's a FIFO, first in, first out. First in, first out sort of collection. So last in, first out is what we probably want. So if we add them in order from 0 to 1, or from first to last, and then we're sort of they'll be destroyed. All the last ones will be destroyed every frame, in theory. When they run past the time to reach ground value, we're going to be adding them again to the end from the nearest to furthest, and therefore our last one in the stack should always be the furthest one away. So since I'm destroying trajectory indicators in update, I'll run another method. I'll just run on late update in the projectile trajectory. I'll run through the stack, and remove the ones at the end that are no longer with us. Alright, so peak is equal to null dot pop and I minus minus. So what will happen there is, if the last one doesn't exist anymore, I'm going to remove it from the stack, and then I'm going to decrement the I value, so that, let's say there were two trajectory indicators in our stack, so 0 and 1, our count would be 2. The first run through 0 would be checking obviously the last one first, because it's a stack. So we come through 0 and we go peak, and our last one, which is well, 0, index 0, I guess, it doesn't exist anymore, so we're going to remove it. Our count is now 1, and now we're going to add to I the next loop around. So now what's going to happen is, although it doesn't, we're not actually accessing based on the I value, but if we remove decrement I to be -1 before we go through the loop again, when it adds to it, it will now be 0, and which is what we want, because our count is now 1, so 0 will be the index of the trajectory indicator in that collection. Not as integral. We probably won't get a null reference for using this sort of peak method, but if it was something like this, then we would get a null reference in that situation where I was now 1 and we did not have anything at index 1. Okay, so that's all good. We're going to push that, and we can just remove all of that. Yep. So current T, so what we'll do is, if that count is greater than 0, current T is dot peak. Alright, does that all compile? Yes, yes it does. Alright, so now we're storing all these stretch indicators. We immediately have an issue that the stretch indicator line did not fill out. Alright, so let's have a look. Okay, so what's current? Okay, missed out some brackets around here. So what I was doing was current T was dividing by num graphics in line. Wasn't what I want is show line for seconds and subtracting that, and then divide the result. So there's our trajectory indicator. Alright, so it's filling out, but I'm seeing some extra dark blocks. Good thing is that it looks like they're pretty much on the same spot. Looks like there's about 3 or 4 or 5 of them in that position, which is no good. One thing it could be, I guess, is that we're trying to create the full indicator line before removing. Whoa, nasty. Let's have a look at what's happening there. So, okay, create full indicator line. So if count is greater than 0, current T, peak T position, show line for seconds minus current T. It's interesting. Alright, let's start throwing in some logs. Have a look first at the initial line. Looks like it's all fine. We'll just see if we can spot what exactly is happening. So drop it down. So we've lost some bits, and we've got a double up of, looks like all of them, up to from a certain point, probably from when we did that thing. So what happened was we did this. We changed time to reach ground, and we said create full indicator line. Now at this point we've got our count. We peaked. There was no null reference, so that's one thing. Our current T would probably have been either the one off there somewhere, hadn't been destroyed yet, or one here. Current T was sort of anywhere within that range. You would think that show line for seconds minus current T. So show line for seconds is the time to reach ground plus 0.5 minus current T divided by num graphics in line. Might be easier if I just rewrite this a little bit, to make it make a little bit more sense based on what I'm doing now. Alright, so how about while current T is less than show line for seconds, current T plus equals indicator spacing. We'll just do before that. Interested to see what this looks like straight up. Alright. Oops. Okay, similar result at the moment. A whole bunch of those. I'm starting to think that I'm having an issue with our stack. Now this is going to create tons of them, right? Correct. So what would that be? Current T should be the T position of that. Current T less than. So what in that case we'd want current T to be that. So that shouldn't be the case. That's strange. So it's directory count is greater than say peak T position. So let's have a look. What's going on? Current T and show line for seconds. Alright. So the current T is dropping down to 0.04 for some reason. Is that after one after over that? Strange. Less than that. 0.04. Okay. So if our stack is if they're all happening, so pop minus minus stacks are strange. I wonder if I should do something different and calculate, make an array of. I could do probably an optimization of making an array that, because I know what the maximum theoretical distance to or time to ground will be based on the greatest force. I could then calculate what the maximum number of trajectory indicators would ever be, and make an array of that size and fill it out accordingly. But that's probably not really necessary. So I think I'll just stick with this sort of generic collection. Alright, so maybe I'll just try changing it to something other than a stack for a moment. Just get a better idea of what's going on, why it doesn't seem to be working quite right. So what we'll do is that I is greater than 0. Work backwards through the list. Okay, so if that's greater than or equal to 0, sorry. If that's equal to null, then remove that I minus minus, I plus Guess that's okay. Alright, and instead of pushing, we're going to just add it. Alright, so now what should happen is destroy that game object, and late update comes through, says, oh, that thing's been destroyed, remove it. And then well, if we run this, I can't imagine that continuing to happen, but obviously there's something wrong in the logic somewhere in terms of the order they're in the list and the grabbing of the last one. Okay, so that's definitely still happening. Still getting these 0.04s, so we're getting 0 on occasion. Let's see why that is. And alright. It's not exactly 0.04, but let's chuck it up. My assumption is that that's 0 at that point, but that could be incorrect. Alright, yep. So the count is 185, but getting a T position of 0. So a T position of 0, that's very odd. So all our trajectory indicators are created. Okay, yes. I wonder, it must be very frustrating. I know that I'd be extremely frustrated if I was watching this and picked up on what was probably pretty obvious. Okay, and I apologize for that. It's probably very frustrating. Here, I'm creating a new one. It gets added to the end. Whoops. What we're going to do is say, there's a good reason for not using the stack. What I need to do is put it at the start, so I can use the insert. It's not fast, is my only issue. But no, it'll do. It'll do. Okay. That was fun. Alright, so what happened there was I wasn't thinking about the one I'm creating every so often at the start of the line. I was only thinking about when I'm creating the full list and putting ones at the end. So I was thinking that they were always sort of from first to last, and therefore the last one on the list would always be the furthest one away. But no, that's not the case. The last one on the list would be the one that was most recently created, which would pretty much be this guy, right at the start of the line, every so often. So that is what was causing all of my issues. I'm going to just leave that code there like that, and now I'm going to change create full indicator line, and I'll chuck it, throw it here. So okay, here's an issue. The update order might make yeah, let's, what would be the best way to do this? So if that changes, I might do it next frame. I'll use script execution order to just solve this issue for me. So I don't know which order they're going to update, whether projectile trajectory will update and then the trajectory indicators will update, or vice versa. But I can use Unity, you know, the 3.4 was it? They added this to set a particular order for these things. So if I make projectile trajectory indicator, projectile trajectory script run first and then the indicator run second, I can ensure that show line for seconds will change, and then these will get destroyed, and then my late update will run. So now I can put in something to say private bool rebuild line this frame equals false. Alright, so now when it changes, I'll tell the script in late update to rebuild the line, and that should, there we go, should all work fine, and it's not going to bother trying to recalculate the line, rebuild it at all when it doesn't change. When it's sitting like this, it's not doing anything. When I do this, it's rebuilding the line accordingly. So now my indicator is always the full length it needs to be to reach the ground level at the, so you can see that makes it a lot easier for me to just quickly line up to that barrel, just there, space, and fail to make it explode. And now right, of course, if the current blocks is equal to null, we're going to skip that one. Alright, I might just quickly adjust that center of gravity on the ballista bolt. See if we can get that looking a bit better again. It's sailing out in a pretty odd sort of angle at the moment, so I'd like to solve that. Okay, so I need to point it in the direction of the way it's shot. I think at the moment it comes out, it is in this orientation, and I push it out in the direction of the shot, but what might need to happen is I might need to just sort of adjust it so that when it's, yeah, you can see there, you know, when it rotates the ballista bolt, does not rotate with it. So where's our bullet creation point? Right there. It's not actually parented to the ballista sort of bone structure here at all. So as we rotate this thing, that creation point is not moving with it. So let's have a look, see what we can do about that. Ballista, the ref node bullet creation point it gets parented to graphics, but what we want to actually parent it to is the which bone? Launchers, arms, spindle. I guess it's the body bone. So bullet creation point, body bone. Bloop. Apply that. Now when we play, okay, you can just ignore the one that's in here now because this one is not actually the real bolt. That is just the bolt that's part of the model. We're going to remove that one and replace it with our actual bolt we're going to fire. The sort of amount this is moving seems to be, not too bad there. That's, ooh. So what happened there was it missed. Yeah, okay, so it just shot. Oh, wow, that's actually a pretty epic shot. And so powerful in that, so powerful a shot, and the angle now is such that I threaded the needle, nicked the side of that one, missed the barrel, destroyed the block that was here, and hit the chest. And that's sort of what the ballista, and this is sort of cool because that's the intention of the ballista, is that it is a precision shot weapon compared to the sort of brute force weapons that a lot of the other ones will be. So yeah, the trebuchet and catapult and probably the cannon, the three we have sort of in mind at the moment. They all have different sort of arcs and things, but for the most part they're brute force, knockdown wall sort of weapons. The ballista is more for hitting barrels or shooting through gaps. So that's awesome. I'm really loving that. That's sort of justifying or sort of these controls are still weird. Yeah, I mean, it sort of just makes it a bit more real, like this is the intention of these things, and now we can see it sort of all starting to work. Shane's been working on the cannon weapon, and each weapon will have a different sort of style to it, and sort of the idea is that the dwarves that control each weapon are from different sort of places. They're different types of dwarves, different distant cousins, and they're not really related. But they're sort of working together to take out these leprechauns who stole all the gold. And so the cannon ones are going to be super interesting. I think they're don't want to give away too much until we start seeing them and see what Shane does with it. And but they're sort of probably like more of a steampunky sort of dwarf. So the cannon, not necessarily, I mean, steampunk's not the right word, but it depends on what Shane goes with. It's really sort of up to what he thinks will work and what looks good. But from what I've seen of the cannon so far, it's looking pretty awesome. Yeah, so I'm excited to get that in, hopefully pretty soon, and really start pushing this game forward. So, alright, we got that trajectory indicator thing sorted. That was a little source of frustration. This is all starting to feel pretty sweet. One thing I might do soon is actually start porting this to to an iPad and just seeing how it feels, flicking left and right to swap from different weapons, figuring out the interface to move between the different perspectives, see how this feels. It should feel pretty similar to Angry Birds or that sort of thing, any slingshot game on the iOS devices. And yeah, just figuring out that sort of thing and seeing how it runs. Shane's looking at clouds and skyboxes and things like that, so all that, it should actually look quite different soon. I think it'll be a bit more starting to get the visuals in, and before too long, we might have a game that we can play. So especially now that this is going to be a much more full-time gig, not just this, of course, but everything else I do at Southeast Games. So I mean, if you like these videos, then that's probably it's good news, because I'll be doing a lot more of them, and it's fucking great news for me. I'm really can't explain sort of how excited I am at the moment for what sort of the next few months hold. I've got a lot of great stuff. I'm working with a couple of great people on different projects. Really exciting looking stuff, and I'd love to keep doing this indefinitely. So if I can have some successes on the asset store and the app store and on the Android, iOS, and that sort of thing, that'll be amazing. So I'd rather not go back to another boring day job, but I guess that's always sitting there ready to something I can do if I need to. But fingers crossed, this can be a full-time gig, and I'd love any support that you guys can give me, and suggestions, feedback. Alright, that's going to do it for this video. Next video, I'm not sure what I'll do, but I'll probably try and make it a bit more substantial, a bit more interesting. Might maybe get that cannon in if it's ready, or at least start building the mechanics of the cannon so that we can drop the art in when it is. Alright, so I'll post about this stuff on the Unity forum, the game dev blog, and the Southeast Games website shortly. I haven't mentioned 14 and 15, I believe the episodes were yet, so I should do that, post about those, post about this, and I'll be pumping out more soon. So thanks for watching.